friend, Roger Christofferson here again with another Overlooked Gems. And I really wanted to babble about this one like a while back, and I kind of misplaced it, and I forgot I was going to do this one, but I'm talking about Michael Sweet and his very first solo release, just self-titled Michael Sweet, and it was done on the Benson record label, which is a Christian label. No big surprise there, seeing as how he's most known for being in the band Stryper. This came out in 1994, and the big thing I want to mention about this one right from the start is that it was produced by himself and Greg Fulkerson. Greg Fulkerson, I have mentioned before, he was in the band Blue Tears. Unfortunately, has passed away. That band was awesome. I did a review or an Overlooked Gems on their album, one of their albums, and he was involved in this one. So if you know what that Blue Tears album sounds like, it carried over a lot into this album. Of all the Michael Sweet solo stuff he's done, still my favorite one, and the songs are a little bit dated, not gonna lie. But when I listen to this one, it takes me back to that point in time. And I've always said that music is like a time machine. It brings you back to wherever you were at that point in time. And I remember everything about this album when I was first listening to it. Now I just had it in my cassette player because, yes, all these albums I mentioned are usually on cassette. That's what I was really into back then. And I didn't, CDs were first becoming part of my collection right around then. I didn't have a whole lot, but I had a cassette player in my car, so I bought everything on cassette. And it's exactly what I did with this one, and the production on it is a little dated. Unfortunately, these Christian labels, they end up sounding a lot similar. It doesn't even seem to, I don't know why it is, it doesn't seem to matter who was producing them either. They all have this under-mastered feel to it. I don't know how else to explain it, but I remember that with the Tamplin album. There's a couple bands, Guardian, a couple of bands like in that vein, Holy Soldier, they all have this like sound to it that just isn't quite up to snuff. And unfortunately, this one suffered from that a little bit. And I don't mean it's bad sound quality, just the production just feels a little bit weaker as far as like the overall feel and the fullness of it. This is my personal take on it. You may completely disagree with me. I don't know. But that's just how I always felt about some of this stuff. But anyway, the songs are kind of like, they're not as heavy as what Stryper was doing. This is like him going off, doing his own thing, which I appreciated. It wasn't like him trying to be Stryper on his own. I don't really like it when, bands do that, unless for whatever reason, if the band's ended and the person doing it was the main songwriter and they're going to want to keep on doing music. I understand when an artist does that. This is not like that at all. This is just him going out on his own. I think Stryper may have been done at this point, honestly. But obviously he had a lot of other, styles and songs in him that he wanted to do. Very catchy stuff on here. There's nothing like weird or whatever. It kind of stayed in that pop rock type of vein. A little bit on the lighter side on a lot of this stuff. But the guitar playing on it's still great. His singing is still great. It's got Greg Fulkerson co-writing a lot of the stuff on it, co-producing, performing on it as well. Let's see if I can find out who else is playing on this thing. Got Michael Sweet on it, like I mentioned, doing all the leads, vocals, most of the lead guitar. Actually, not even all the lead guitar, but a lot of lead guitar. Let's put it that way. Greg Fulkerson's playing rhythm guitars on this, doing organ keyboards, a lot of background vocals. And he did the solo on All This in Heaven too, which is actually one of my favorite songs on here. Got Jimmy Wolfham on drums. I think that's how you pronounce that. Michael Spears on bass guitar. Doug Biden on background vocals and some organ and keyboards. There's a saxophone solo on here. It's done by Steve Grove. I don't even know who most of these people are. J.R. McNeely on bass guitar, and I think You Hear Me Knocking. Tyler Wells and Brian. Jeez, I can't even pronounce these. Rava Kaba, yeah, okay. Just doing some background vocals, and Caroline Fulkerson that's doing some background vocals on Forever Yours and All This in Heaven too. Oh man, that was quite a list. So anyway, just the highlights, because I'm already going longer than I expected to on this one. It starts out with kind of a upbeat rocker, co-written by Michael Fulkerson. It's kind of cool. He actually has like the Bible verses under each one of these titles as to what the song is referring to, which I didn't even remember until just now. Although it's weird, I'm looking at this again because I haven't listened to this album in quite a while, but it's all kind of coming back to me. I remember Take Me Home, the very next song on here, being like a really big upbeat song. Tomorrow and Tonight, one of my favorites on here. It's just got a really upbeat feel to it, a very catchy chorus. All This in Heaven Too, also co-written by Greg Fulkerson, probably my favorite song on here. Just another upbeat one, and then we get to song Someday, which is a little bit slower, but also a good song. The cheesiest one on here is called Jesus. Hate to say that because it's obviously Jesus, but it gets a little bit, I don't know, how to, like shouty, gang vocally type stuff. I'm not really into that type of thing personally, the way they did it on here anyway. And this is my only lull in the whole album. All I Want to Do Is Love You is actually a really good song too. That one I remember really enjoying a lot. Kind of a mid-tempo-y one. Forever Yours, obviously, was the one that was actually written by Greg Fulkerson. I've heard his version of it, and I can't remember what album it's on, but it's on Blue Tears, has a few different albums out, and I remember hearing it on one of those. I can't remember what one it was right off the top of my head. I Think You Hear Me Knocking, also not one of the strongest songs on here, but okay. And then Ain't No Safe Way It Ends, so also co-written by Greg Fulkerson, is, you know, probably not the strongest song on the album either, but it wasn't like the weakest one. But I'd say my favorites are obviously all towards the beginning of it. All I Want to Do Is Love You and Forever Yours. They're just amazing. So my highlights, I'm just going to go over again. Together, Take Me Home, Tomorrow and Tonight, All This in Heaven Too, Someday. Like first half of the album is just great. I mean, it's not a clunker there. And then on the second half, we got All I Want to Do Is Love You, Forever Yours. Really my favorites on the whole album. So there's only 3 on there that were not my favorites, but you know, how often do we get an album where every single song is great? They weren't bad, they're just not as good. When you have like really good songs, like really, really good songs, like some of these are, sometimes it's hard for the ones that are good not to be as, perceived as good. So anyway, enough babbling about that one, because now I feel that's exactly what I'm doing. But if anybody else there has any feelings or anything on this album, he's got more solo albums than this. The one after it, not quite as strong, I don't feel, I think it was called Real. Not quite as strong as that one. He's had some more recently that are a little more heavy rock. Believe they're on Frontiers. Production's a lot different on those albums. Probably a better production, but I think the songs on that first album are just really good. Who knows how long he had those kicking around. I don't know if they were just new written for the album or stuff he just had in him for a long period of time, but the input from Greg Fulkerson I think is just worth listening to if you're a fan of that, of his band Blue Tears, or of him at all. Definitely worth checking out. That's what this is all about, just bringing to attention some stuff that maybe people have overlooked. Cool album. Tell me what you think of it if you've had a chance to listen to it, and if you haven't, go check it out and then come back and tell me what you think of it. So that's what this is all about. Any other recommendations, of anything that Michael Sweet or Greg have been involved in, please let us know. That's what this is all about. Like, share, and subscribe to keep this music alive, because I really hope Michael keeps putting out some more albums. I've really enjoyed the stuff he's been doing lately, especially the last Stryper album just came out here about a month ago. It's amazing. So yeah, I had a chance to check that one out. Check that one out as well. That one's a heavy album. Nothing like this one. So anyway, enough babbling for now. Until next time, we will see you.